In this video, we explore Kant's moral theory. In the history of Western ethics, one of the most influential thinkers is Immanuel Kant. Kant believed that morality is not based on emotion, personal happiness, or consequence. Instead, true morality comes from reason and duty. According to Kant, a moral action is good not because of its result, but because it is performed out of a sense of moral obligation. His moral philosophy is therefore called deontological ethics, derived from the Greek word deon, meaning duty. Kant argued that human beings are rational and free, and therefore capable of understanding universal moral laws. His ethical theory emphasized concepts such as goodwill, duty, categorical imperative, maxim, and treating humanity as an end in itself. These ideas together form the foundation of Kant's moral theory. Postulate of morality. Kant believed that moral life requires certain assumptions or postulates. These are not scientifically proven facts, but necessary belief for morality to make sense. First, freedom of will. Morality is possible only if human beings are free to choose their action. If every action are completely determined by external force, then no one could be held morally responsible. Therefore, freedom is a necessary condition for a moral judgment. Second, immortality of the soul. Kant believed that complete moral perfection cannot be achieved within a single lifetime. Since humans continuously strive towards moral perfection, the soul must be immortal so that this moral progress can be continued endlessly. Third, existence of God. Kant argued that virtue and happiness should ultimately be united. However, in this world, good people often suffer while wrongdoers may prosper. Therefore, the existence of God is necessary as a moral governor who ensures justice and harmony between virtue and happiness. These three postulates, freedom, immortality, and God, support the practical foundation of morality. Goodwill. According to Kant, the only thing that is absolutely good without qualification is goodwill. A person may possess intelligence, courage, wealth, or talent, but these qualities can become harmful if they are not guided by goodwill. Goodwill means acting from a sense of duty and moral intention, not from selfish desire or personal benefit. For example, if a shopkeeper behaves honestly only to gain customers, his action may appear good externally, but it lacks moral worth. However, he acts honestly. Because honesty is his duty, then the action possesses true moral value. Thus, for Kant, morality depends not on outcomes, but on the motivate behind the action. Categorical imperative. The central principle of Kant ethics is the categorical imperative. It is a universal moral law that applies to all rational beings, regardless of circumstances or desire. Unlike hypothetical imperative, which depend on conditions such as if you want success, work hard, the categorical imperative commands absolutely and universally. First formulation, universal law. Kant stated, act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. This means a person should act only in ways that could be accepted as universal rules for everyone. For example, if lying become universal, trust in society would disappear. Therefore, lying cannot be morally justified. Second formulation, humanity as an end. Kant also said, treat humanity, whether in yourself or other, always as an end and never merely as a means. Human beings possess dignity and rationality. Therefore, No person should be exploited or used merely for personal gain. This principle emphasizes respect for human dignity, equality, and moral worth. Duty. Duty occupies a central place in Kant moral philosophy. An action becomes morally worthy only when it is performed from duty. Kant distinguishes three types of action. First, action against duty. Second, action according to duty but motivated by self-interest. Third, action performed from duty alone. Only the third type has genuine moral value. For Kant, duty arises from respect for moral law. A moral person acts rightly not because it is beneficial or pleasurable, but because it is the right thing to do. Thus, morality is rooted in obedience to rational moral law rather than emotion or consequence. Means and ends. Kant strongly opposed treating people merely as instruments for achieving personal goals. Human beings are rational and autonomous, and therefore each individual possesses intrinsic worth. This idea is expressed in his principle that humanity must always be treated as an end in itself, not as a means. For example, cheating, manipulation, exploitation, or slavery are immoral because they reduce person to mere tools. Kant's idea greatly influenced modern concept of human right, equality, dignity, and justice. Maxim. A maxim is a personal principle or rule that guided an individual action. Before acting, Kant believed a person should act. Can my maxim become a universal law for everyone? If the answer is yes, then the action is morally acceptable. If universalization the maxim create contradiction or harm, then the action is immoral. For example, maxim: I will lie whenever it benefits me. If universalized, trust would collapse, making lying meaningless. Therefore, the maxim failed the moral test. Thus, morality requires rational consistency and universality. In conclusion, Kant moral theory is one of the most powerful ethical systems in Western philosophy. It emphasizes reason, duty, universal moral law, and respect for human dignity. According to Kant, morality does not depend on emotion, consequence, or personal happiness, but on acting from goodwill and duty. His concept of categorical imperative, maxim, and treating humanity as an end continues to influence modern ethics, law, human rights, and political philosophy. Although some critics argue that Kant's theory is too rigid and ignores consequence, his emphasis on moral responsibility and human dignity remain deeply influential in ethical thought. Kant philosophy teaches that true morality lies not in what we achieve, but in the principle and intention that guide our action. If you are still watching, I hope you are finding this content useful. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and share your thought in the comment. Your support motivates me to create even more content like this.